Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Jordan Debano. It's great to meet you if we are meeting for the first time. And if you are looking for strategies and tips to reach your next level of success, make sure you subscribe to the channel and give this video a like. All right, so today we are speaking about when things aren't happening. When things aren't happening in your life, in your business, your career, you know, what do we do? What do we do? When I got the idea for this episode, I was thinking about when I was in Europe and I was in a small French town called Montpellier. It's actually not that small, but it's a bit removed from the touristy spots of the French Riviera, like Monaco and Nice and all that. But anyway, I got to the apartment that I was staying in, and I found the key in the lockbox, and it just wouldn't freaking open. And truth be told, I could have messaged the Airbnb host um, within the first minutes of it not opening, but I knew that I have this habit when I get stressed, I cannot open doors. Do not ask me what happens, what goes on in my mind, but I really get um, yeah, that frustrated that and clouded, particularly when it's that hot. It was super hot. It was like August in in France, and I just couldn't open the door. So after about 15 minutes, I messaged the host, and while I was waiting for her to respond, I just calmed down. This is going to sound ridiculous, right? But I emptied out my mind and I imagined that the door would open next time I put the key in. And long and behold, when I got focused, put the key in, turned, and the door freaking opened just as the host messaged me back. So anyway, I was thinking about that coming into today's video because it is a thing. Sometimes we are going after things. We're trying to bust doors open, metaphorical doors, of course, or maybe not. I don't know. I don't want to encourage robberies here, but anyway, um, we're trying to open up doors for our career, our relationships, whatever it is, that we're going for, and the door just won't freaking open, and we think that it's like, man, I'm doing something wrong in the process, or I'm not, putting in enough effort. And I think back to that time in Montpellier and all the other times that I've screwed up opening doors. So embarrassing. But anyway, and literally that thing that I just spoke about, like imagining that the door would open, it works every single time, and I look like a fool after trying so hard for 15 minutes. I think that's the longest I've spent trying to open the door. But so we can apply this to life really when we're going after things where it's kind of looked upon as an awesome thing if you're process orientated and you work really hard. I was watching a interview yesterday. Yeah, I'm a Pies supporter. Love Collingwood. I'm from, so if you're watching overseas and you have no idea what I'm talking about, Australian rules football, and my team's Collingwood. Anyway, so we won on Friday night, and quite proud of the victory. Well, we didn't play well, but we won. But anyway, I was listening to the coach's post match interview, and he was talking about how important it is for them to be process orientated. And I was thinking about it. Again, no knock. This is not criticism, but I was thinking it's obvious that we're very process orientated, and I think a lot of teams are in sport. But I'd love to see what would happen if a sports club started actually promoting that they were result driven. It's like our goal, our result is a championship or a premiership in our country. That's what we call it. That's what we're going for. And of course, you can imagine if a coach said that, it would create like a expectations in the media, and people in the dressing room probably going to feel a bit more pressure. So you can understand why they might be thinking, yeah, we want premiership, but they're not going to say it. So I get that. But you can just imagine with that example, when we go to opening the door in France instead of how am I opening the door? Yeah, tension, emotion, there's something at stake. It rises and we get tense. So we naturally think, we're naturally inclined to go, I don't want to focus on the result because it's safer to go, how do you open the door? How do you win a game of football? Few and far, but so far between. Um, so we're going to talk about this, you know, battle that we can get in where it's like process end result when things aren't happening. When things aren't happening, what's better to go for? And I need to start off with some misconceptions because again, we do think if I put in the effort and if I'm process orientated, eventually something will happen. And you see, this isn't true, and we know this. You just have to look around in your life. You ever met someone you you've been trying to maybe a musical instrument. You've been trying to play the guitar for ages really well, and it's taking you ages to learn all these chords and whatever. And then you know someone else who said, "Yeah, yeah, I just picked it up and was great." And we tend to think natural talent, right? But not necessarily, right? Playing the guitar and just having your fingers in the right places and knowing the basic chords, that's practice, right? And what I've noticed as someone that has learnt the piano and the guitar fairly quickly, um, is that when I'm thinking about all the techniques, I play shit. But when I'm in the end result of me actually being in flow and my hands are moving across the keys or the fretboard, not that I don't want to give the wrong like idea here. I do not move my hands along the fretboard like a Prince or a Santana or something, but I can move from chords up the fretboard and hold position. So just so you know, when I'm in that feeling and I've let go of how my fingers are going to get there, it happens, right? It happens quite effortlessly. And so, we all know people like that in our lives or maybe just ourselves, when we've been process versus end result and we're in the emotion and things just happen. We know that it's not effort and process, but again, our rational mind, it's like, man, if I just focus on how to open the door, how to hold the key, where I'm maneuvering it, it'll open. And again, if you're a dumbass like I am, when you're in front of the door, it won't and it'll stay shut. So we get to this powerful premise that we all want to adopt, and it's I wrote this down, and um, I think it's so profound, right? Because I think in today's world, I know in my generation at least, and I think in generations that have come after me and stuff, um, alignment is a big thing. It's like achievement for achievement's sakes isn't the goal anymore, right? In today's society, it's more about, am I going after what I care about? Does it mean something to me? Am I being true to myself? We're more inclined to follow that. And again, whether you are against or you support that is regardless of the question. But I really do believe that when we're end result focused, here's the premise. I want you to write this down. So when we're end result focused, the process finds us. The process that aligns to the end result finds not only us, but it finds our creation. And I've definitely seen multiple examples out there in the world. I've had experiences where this has happened. I'm sure you have. Um, so one of the things that I think we can all relate is holidays, right? You ever been on a holiday and you've been really clear? You've been really clear what you want to experience. And for most of us, when we go on a holiday, it's I want to party, I want to chill, I want to drink, I want to eat good food, and I just want to relax, right? Now, you might not want to do all those things or go on adventures and whatever. But that's the general consensus of why people go on holidays. Like relax, chill, have some drinks, have some good food, beach, party, socialize. So we know that, right? And when we go on a holiday, we're not at least I would hope not. We're not thinking, how am I going to party? So weird. Or not so weird. It could be like, where am I going for the party? But usually that shit finds us when we're there. I remember when I was in Mallorca, I had an intention that I was going to get out and about and have a good time, have a bit of a party, and also go on adventures. The minute I got there, I wasn't thinking, how am I going to party? How am I going to dance? How am I going to go on my adventure? I was very clear on the feelings. And, again, I'm sure you've all had this experience. You land, you go to the place you're staying, dump your bags down, maybe have a shower, maybe not, go for a waltz around town or go to the pool. And you just end up meeting people. You see flyers, and all of a sudden, you've got your party, you've got your adventure, and no doubt you got your drink in hand, right? So we know this. We know this. We experience it. Or it's like food when we're hungry. Let's just make it even more basic. We're like, I'm hungry. We're out. Oh man, I could really go for a burger, but you don't ask why a burger. It's just like I want the burger, or it could be that you're hungry, and but at the same time you're in that focus of, man, I'd love some healthy food today. I'm training, and I just maybe you just went to the gym or you went for a run. I'm really into my running at the moment, and when I finish a run, I've got two meals in mind. It's either oats and yogurt, or it's like a good bowl of rice and tuna. It's carbs, protein, it's got everything, right? We're not saying to ourselves, how do I eat and hope that we eat? It's stupid, right? But this is how we go about our businesses, our careers, and our relationships. How do I talk, and how do I market, and how do I, so if we know that eating and holidaying and just those things that we're really used to, it works when we're clear on the emotion, and then we just have a way of finding what we want. We can hold the same premise for our careers and everything. So when we're end result focused, the process finds us. It finds us, and it always fits. But you know what happens when we're process orientated? We just end up with a result. Again, without really realizing it, when I was in France, I was so focused on this fucking key and keyhole. It's all fucked, right? Excuse my French. There you go, little pun. But I was really in there. I'm like, man, this is just not working. And I totally forgot about the result. I wanted to get inside. It was hot. I was tired. I'd been on the bus for 4 hours and a train as well for like 30 minutes. So I'd done a fair bit of travel. When you put it in context, it was a train and a bus. I wanted to have a shower and get amongst a bit of air conditioner and then go get some food. But man, I forgot about that because I was like, the fucking key is old. I was looking at the key. The keyhole doesn't line up with the actual lock. I was making up shit. I don't even know if that's a thing. I think it's a thing. And I ended up with a result. And this is where, when we get so locked into the process, we'll just take any result we get. So it's like when I was back in sales, right? And what I'm about to say, I don't want I don't want to come across as if I'm downplaying scripts now, because for a long time I've promoted the importance of having a sales script. I still back it, but it depends what you're focused on. So, like nowadays, I focus on a decision essentially when I'm in sales. I focus on a decision, yes or no. Um, and I'm more flexible with how we get there. I still use the script as a prompt, but the power's in a decision. Okay. And how we get to the decision doesn't matter to me. Back in the day, it was the script comes first and the decision comes last. And I'll tell you how I know that, because, if you had asked me back then, Jordan, what do you focus on? I go, man, a decision. But in my subconscious, what I was actually focused on, and if you watched my behavior, it was not a decision. I held on to that script like a little scared boy, right? So I would go through every fucking step on the script like a robot. And my thinking was, if I just do it all properly, perfectly, I will get a yes or a no. And you know what would happen? I would go on these streaks, right? I never spoke about it back in the day. when I had my sales podcast, probably way too ashamed to ever mention this, but I'd have these like weeks where people would just keep turning around to me and go, I need to think about it. I need to think about it. I need to think about it. And man, I would be fuming. I would put my fist through a wall, right? And I would try harder with the script. So if this began on a Monday, I would try harder on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and so on. And the fascinating thing was that knowing what I know now, if I was to coach myself, it would have been like, what are you focused on? Are you focused on a decision, or are you focused on just getting the script 100% right? And so, when we have a look at sales, sales is a great example, or just get like promoting anything. Even if you're not, we're all technically in sales, but sales is a great example because you've got something there that's widely promoted. If you just do step by step, you'll get a result, or you should expect that you'll have this much percentage come through. But there's a nuance there. There's a nuance. Where's the power? Is the power in getting the script right, or is the power in actually creating a decision? Okay, because it's like, I'm trying to think of another example here that'll really back this up. Okay, so sports is another great example. Everyone in AFL, or let's use a more widely known basketball. You watch most NBA players, they have the same shot motion, okay? The same overall technique. It varies at times. I know some nuts here might go, but Steph Curry's the best and he has a unique shot. I get it. I get it. All right. But just the general consensus across is that everyone kind of shoots it in the same way. But the thing is, why are people like Steph Curry so much better than everyone else? Well, of course, they probably practice more and whatever, and are more naturally gifted. But I could bet my bottom dollar that Steph Curry, the top shooters, are most likely focused on actually making the shot. They're actually focused on the end result, the feeling of what it actually feels like for the ball to drop in the net. Okay. And so I'll bring it back to sales. When you're focused on the feeling of what it's like to come to a decision, and I remember this, it's a sweet feeling, and then the script is just your prompter, you'll get there. You will. And I mean, even if you need to let people think about it, sometimes you do that because you just know that's how they're going to make a decision. Because you're in that end result, it just finds you like, man, they're not getting started today. And it's not from like a fear base. It's just like that they are not going to budge. I'm going to screw this up if I push them. So you beat them to the punch, and you actually arrange how they're going to think about it. That I'm not going to walk you through how to do that because you could really do it any way you want. I do have a way of doing it, but anyway, we're not going to talk about that. But you see, right? Sometimes it'll be necessary for that, and then other times you'll be speaking to someone. It's just like they're saying, "I need to think about it," but I feel like we could make the decision today. It's just obvious. So, you know, but if the attention's on the process, and let me tell you, very rarely are objections in the sales script. You'll finish the whole process, and then something will happen. And it's like, what the fuck do I do now? I don't know how to handle this, which is most people in sales, right? So, you know, we want to question ourselves when doors are not opening, when things aren't happening for us. Where's our attention? End result or process? Now, another thing that's interesting to also question, which we're not going to go super deep into today, maybe for another episode, is sometimes we don't want the door to open. Sometimes we actually don't. Okay, and I don't want to go super deep, but just consider this, play with this for a moment. If you've gone, yeah, Jordan, I'm pretty end result focused. This thing, it just won't fucking open for me. All right, so here you go. If you actually got what you really, 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 really want, just stick with me here. You got it. You got the thing, the growth in your business, the money. That actually happened. What are you scared of? And I pick up a pen and just write whatever comes to mind. You don't need to. people in my alchemy circle don't even think about this because we're playing with the rational mind now. What are you scared of? And I tell you what, there will be something. And I bet you any bottom dollar that if you are not aware of what that is, that thing, that resistance to getting what you want, you need to give it a voice. You need to give it a voice. I'm telling you now, you need to give it a voice. Um, I'll bring up sales again. It keeps coming up. It's just so relevant to talk about. I went through a phase where I made a heap of sales in my first job, and then there were a heap of refunds. And I remember I was like scarred of actually making sales. I'm like, that was fucking um, torture. Having all your confidence built up. Yeah, man, on top of the world, hitting target, and boom, all taken away in like a day, right? And so for a long time after that, I would have these, again, these weeks where I just wouldn't make sales. It just wouldn't happen. And I'm like, but I'm fucking doing the thing. But what was actually had gotten me, what had reemerged and I wasn't owning, was that I was actually scared to make sales. I was scared of hanging in the unknown of whether people were going to ask for a refund or not. And back then I was just so unaware of how I'd created the refunds, what I'd said. I wasn't really doing call reviews. I wasn't as self-aware. Um, so I just decided, oh fuck, like somewhere along the line, actually making sales when people buy, it's actually something I might not want, right? Because it's worse. Um, making the sale, it, it's it's worse making a sale and getting refunds than just getting told no, right? I think I said that right. So, and if I haven't, you get what I mean. So, you've got to acknowledge that resistance. What is that thing there that, like, if you actually got what you wanted, what are you scared of happening? And if you give that a voice, I'm sure you'll start to see why maybe you haven't been creating the result that you want or attracting the clients in and manifesting. This is really part of it because what you're focused on, what you've got your mind on, you will create it out there. You will inevitably create it out there. That's a discussion for another day. But just to round off this episode, get your mind on the end result. The process will find you. Okay, don't be me in France trying to freaking kick open the door. And I didn't try to kick open the door, but you get what I mean. So focused on how to open a door that you can't get in. Okay, be end result focused. Be the person that's inside the house before you open the door, and more will open up in your life. All right, that's it from me. If you enjoyed today's episode, subscribe to the channel. If you haven't already subscribed, subscribe, all right? And like the video, smash that like button and share this message with whoever needs to hear it. If you know someone that is me in France, um, share this video out with them. All right, guys, love you. Have a good rest of your day.